Ready to roll.
Excellent. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Call the meeting to order. Start with the approval of the October 21st meeting agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. And then on to the minutes. September 16 minutes. Any questions, anything about that?
I'll make a motion to approve it with the addition of Marika's name to the present.
Excellent, good observation. Anything else? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. And public comment.
Angelica, do we have anybody joining virtually?
I don't see anyone in the call line.
Okay, thanks. We're good.
Excellent. Okay. Move on to VAD and EVAD. Martha?
Yes. Can we do introductions first?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh,
Let's do
sorry.
introductions.
Apologies.
You're good. Awesome. So we have our new board member. Woohoo! Joel is here joining us. So we'll just wrap around the room. You know, tell them your name, kind of what area of the county, and how you're connected in with farmland preservation work. So I'm Ariel Zeip. I'm the farmland preservation manager for Buncombe Soil and Water. And yeah, been doing this for about 10 years. Very excited to see the program grow and have more funding and be able to do more work. And I think I mentioned already, Martha and I are kind of your point people for farmland preservation specific work. We are the staff point people for this board, as well as the Land Conservation Advisory Board that the county has. So the county has 2 conservation boards, and we oversee both of those. That other board is focused on funding nonprofit land trust conservation easements. And so we will touch base with you and get you through a kind of an onboarding process for just kind of a short meeting where we walk through kind of what we do. So that'll make it a little bit clearer.
My name is Marika, and I'm the administrative coordinator for Buncombe County Soil and Water.
I'm Martha Ross. I've been with the county for almost 4 months now. Before I came up here, I was working out of Franklin, the land trust, doing other land conservation activities. So super similar work, but it's been a great 4 months. It feels like it's been a lot longer.
I'm glad you're here. Before you know it, it'll be 10 years.
Yeah. I started when I was 24 as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Chase Hubbard, board chair right now, and let's say I farmed in Buncombe County for years, and right now I work in ag commodities. Sorry, I'm glad somebody brought it up. I didn't want to put you on the spot. So.
I'm Susie Rankin, and we have a farm in Fairview that's under our conservation easement.
Hello, I'm Terry Wells, and I've been serving on this board for several years. I live on the farm where I grew up out in Sandy Mush, and when my cousin still has beef cattle on the farm, when I was farming to sell, I was growing vegetables, had a CSA, and we also had our honeybees. And then I've been definitely a champion of our farm conservation, so I love seeing all the work that we have been able to do here through our ag advisory board, and excited that you can join us.
Thank you. RPS, we have a farm out in Sandwich with a little herd of milk gallery cattle, so we raise those. We have our farm and conservation. It's been 3 or 4 years now. We've had our farm and conservation worked out really well, and it's good to have it.
I'm Wayne Welch. I'm on the far side. I'm north, and we were Flaxseed Farm, and we're in consultancy, and we're a cattle farm and a wedding venue out there. And welcome aboard. My second time around. Okay, just hang on; they'll get us through everything.
Great. Joel Lowry. I own a farm in Candler in the Hominy Valley. We've been there for almost 25 years now. I moved here from southeastern Ohio from college. Took a job at the Mountain Horticultural Crops Research Station. I worked there for 16 years. as a ornamental tree and shrub breeder. All the while, my wife and I bought land, and I started to tinker and try to build a farm business. And after 16 years with the state, I retired. I moved on to my own farm business. We grow specialty chili peppers, which was not what we intended set out to do. My background is in horticulture and landscape plants primarily. So we were developing an unusual tree and shrub nursery business, and made a good go at it. Wasn't very profitable for me. The housing market crashed in 2008. Plants weren't selling. We pivoted. We started making hot sauce, salsas, and barbecue sauces, and then further grew our farm business. We grow about 15 acres of mostly hot peppers. And then we have a manufacturing facility at the old Upper Hamley Fire Department. So we were able, many years later, we acquired that. That's where we process, and we process almost everything we grow. We turn into a finished product. So we don't sell a lot of raw material. We turn into pepper purees or finished goods that we sell to other manufacturing companies. So we've been doing that for quite a while now. So I'm, I guess, the pepper guy around town these days.
So it's awesome. Can we find your stuff in the stores here?
Yeah, we're in mostly boutique shops. So in addition to our farm business, we also manufacture for about 30 other companies, and that's really kind of like become a big part of our business. So the concept was to take our farm goods that we grow and be able to, insert those right into value-added products. And so while we have a brand called Smoking Jay's Fiery Foods, which has a number of different products. We also do a lot of things behind the scenes. We ship our pepper purees to all across the nation to different other sauce manufacturing companies. So yeah, we're in town. We did tailgate markets for a lot of years. And, our big focus is our manufacturing and wholesale distribution.
Nice.
That sounds like a great market.
It's really good.
Yeah. Can they buy it? Can they go to your location and buy it?
We have a small store now in our production facility, so we kind of took it off our farm and put it there. So we're not open for business per se, but we have a store of stock, and we've been kind of just being strategic about when we want to open it up.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Buncombe County has the new state park going in, which is just a few miles up, just down the road from where we are. So
That's
going to be great for business.
Yeah, so we kind of try to time things to open up for that. So
excellent.
Yeah, I feel like this is a I don't know, a niche that hasn't been filled on this board, having the value added aspect. We have Ann Greer from Gaining Grounds. We have some other producers, but yeah, this is excited to have your.
That's a unique business model. It's cool to raise to wholesale.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, that's great. So you're a plant breeder? I'm just curious. I don't want to know what school did you go to?
I went to a small school called Hocking College.
Is that in Ohio?
It is. It's in Southeast Ohio. That's where it's near where Ohio University is.
Yeah.
And I studied there and got a degree I got an arborist certificate and a degree in forestry. And but yeah, my real learning happened on the job.
Yeah.
So Tom Randy has been a plant breeder
at
NC State for 30 plus years now. So I was able to work with him. Love it. I still love it. I like to collect ornamental plants. And so.
Cool. Yeah, I raise orchids and breed too. Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Okay. Let's see. Applications for VAD. Did you do that?
Yes, no, we can go to the VAD applications next and pull them up on the screen. We have 5 applications. They're all for VAD for this month. 3 are Amy Worthen and Jason Krekel. They are the landowners for the town hauler easements that closed last month. So it's 3 separate parcels, 3 separate easements, and that's why their names are up there 3 times, 1 for each parcel. And then we also have 2 applications from Dorothy Snedden, who's also an easement landowner out in Fairview. So one of these, the larger parcel, is for her easement, and then the 31.5 acre parcel is for a property we're hoping to work with her on. The Tone Holler tracks are mostly forested. And then Dorothy's property, it's a horse farm, and then the property she just acquired is mostly forested as well, with some corn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions for Martha? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And farmland preservation report, Ariel?
All right. Well, this is an easy meeting compared to last meeting, I feel like. So we're letting you have it easy this month. Just kidding. But yeah, so fantastic meeting last month with all the landowners joining. We took those 7 or 8 projects to the commissioners, and the commissioners approved them all for transaction costs. And so it's really like, it's the ones you're seeing right here. The update for all of those projects are going to be the same. So we got those approved. We're starting that funding appraisal on all of these so that we can get that final easement purchase amount and then go back to the commissioners and ask for those funds to be secured from the open space bond. So that's kind of next steps on all of those projects. In addition to that, we have this afternoon, we have all of these landowners coming back into the office to sign their letter of intent, their county kind of landowner conservation easement agreement, that we need to do that before we start spending any county money. And so we have everybody queued up to sign a bunch of documents this afternoon. That document, as well as all the required documents for the agricultural growth zone grant applications that we're working on. So, yep, what were we saying?
Cedarville, Jeff, I know right as I was leaving that meeting last time, y'all were talking about that. Did you get that worked out with him?
With the exclusion area?
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So that was approved, that was in the approval of that project, was with the exclusion area. And we have worked with him to determine that location. And so, all is good there.
It wasn't really going to impact what he thought he was going to receive.
I communicated back and forth with our appraiser to kind of get a rough idea, and it seems like it definitely wasn't a deal breaker for Jeff. And we made sure we communicated that with him. That acreage that's taken out is going to affect the whole value, and so this final funding appraisal will be based on that condition. Yeah, so all is good there. We've communicated, kind of followed up with all these landowners to schedule this afternoon's signing, as well as to confirm that they're ready to roll and start the project. So very exciting. And then in addition to that, Martha and I are working on the agricultural growth zone grant applications for all 7 of these. And so while we applied for that chunk of funding from the state and it's reserved for us, we still have to submit individual grant applications. They're slightly less complicated than the normal one, but it's just for the state's kind of approval of these projects. They're reviewing them to make sure they meet all of their kind of eligibility requirements. They all do, because we know what their eligibility requirements are. But it's kind of, we gotta go through that process with the state. So it still is like doing 7 grant applications, but we know at the end of the day, they're all gonna be approved. So there's no concerns there. And that's our goal, is to get them all approved by the state before then coming back to the commissioners, so that we can then say, hey, state's, blessed them, and now we just need that final match from the bond. So,
and basically there's from the bond, there's kind of like a pot set aside.
Correct.
For this, and then you just have to get your final numbers.
Yes, thanks for clarifying that. We've already gone to the commissioners and reserved that pot for the agricultural growth zone. So any other project requests, that is seen as put aside. And then we're just asking from that pot. It's not a new bond request. And we'll make sure we're very clear about that when we come back to the commissioners again. And then while we're talking about commissioner meetings, in a couple weeks on the November 4th, we will also be back at the commissioner meeting with a couple of the LCAB project requests for bond funding. And so, and then there are two projects that we're asking for some slight supplemental budget to. That's the David Rogers and the Rogers Farm Trust project. And that's because Hurricane Helene created such a delay in closing on that our appraisal expired that we had, and those are typically good for a year. The state requires you to do a new one if you haven't closed within that year, and so we have to get two new appraisal updates for those projects. So we're having to ask for some slight supplemental budget for those two transaction costs. So just putting that in your awareness.
So the state didn't take that into account, Helene, that
they took into account, they gave us a contract extension, because, it added a year to the contract essentially, but they won't waive the requirement for having to have a appraisal. So yeah, that's that. And then as we move on to the other projects that we have rolling on, making a lot of progress with Kestrel Herb Battle and Sandy Holler. We're finalizing those baseline documents, working on deed and title work. We have goals to close in January on all three of those. So those are moving along really nicely. Communicated with all those landowners. They understand that's kind of the ballpark timeline. And communication, we finalized the survey with Battle. All of that has been fairly smooth. And so, yeah, those are moving along really nicely. Kestrel Herb is in the process of acquiring some adjacent land. And so that's, kind of pushed back the timeline a little bit on that project because we want to make sure we can incorporate some of that land into the easement. So I'll give you an update once we have kind of that survey. But yeah, I think they're working on buying some land from the Woodies that works nicely in terms of where it all lays. I don't have that right now. I know they'll be keeping some of it out, but keeping some of it in the easement as well. Yeah.
Curiosity question, going back to the ones that we did in the last meeting.
Yeah.
If we're blessed and lucky, what is the guesstimate of how much land would be saving out of that whole group if everything goes?
I think it's about 600 acres. I can pull up that spreadsheet, but I think that's what I had on the presentation. So that's very exciting. Yeah. That's a good amount of land and a lot of working farms too. So
I think I was looking at it the other day, and I think around what we use the bond funds for, I want to say we're up to like almost 2,000 acres.
Okay. Yeah.
That through those funds, so that 600. There were a couple more on the consent agenda that evening from LCAP, which was about 100 more acres, and then if you add in the one Wilson, and then there was the Lake Eden and some other projects, we're up around 2,000 conserved since we've been doing bond funds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and just to give you another update kind of on the county's annual funding for conservation easements, LCAB last week saw 3 more projects from Conserving Carolina. They're all asking for transaction costs. And with those projects, once they come to the commissioners, and we have the hope for that Sneddon project. It's a donation easement. I'll talk about that in a second. We will fully allocate already, like in the next few months, we'll allocate all the annual funding that the commissioners give for easement. So no concerns there. We're showing the need, and that's majority LCAB requests this year because we have the agricultural growth zone grant. So we made that work so that all organizations were able to have funding for easements, and we can continue to plug towards that goal. Okay, so a couple other updates. The Okobochi Farm, we are really close to closing. Final closing documents being prepared. We have a tentative closing date for November 4th, I think. And so very exciting that would be another bond-funded easement closing. So that is exciting. And then I checked in with Southern Appalachian Highlands Conservancy on the community farm expansion project. It sounds like that is still not moving forward due to that landowner disputed area within the easement, and they have actually moved to legal action, take legal action in court to solve that. So that will still, take some time to sort itself out, but at least we know there's progress being made. I checked in with Carl and Jess at Southern App, asking, initially the hope was to complete this easement with them and then move on to the other 2 donation easements that we have with them. And I asked, since we've, hit this issue with the neighboring landowner, can we go ahead and proceed on those other 2? Like, is there a reason we need to wait? And so the plan is to proceed on the Jenkins Branch easement, and we'll be able to go ahead and start working with them on that project. So stay tuned on that piece. Splendor Valley Farm, we have a closing scheduled for November 17th. And this was all going to work out beautifully with our timeline, and then the government shut down. And so it's very unlikely that is going to happen now, because we needed a month for the federal kind of closing procedures to go through, and we had just exactly the right amount of time. And it's fine, we're not losing funding, we have an extension and all of that, but it will postpone. And so similar situation, we're going to have to do an appraisal update because of Helene delays on this one. So
And we get charged. Yeah, that's the thing. How much are we having to pay to do the appraisal?
So the updates are about $2,500. And so this one would be another one we would have to ask. Yeah.
Can we use?
And this is required by state and federal, because this has both.
No way we can get reimbursed by Trump.
Good luck. Welcome to try. But yeah, so that's another situation.
With that though, actually, just before we go on, I mean, I get it on the Rogers and everything, because that was Helene, and they can make the argument, well, we would have to go ahead and continue. But on the Splendor Valley, that's the federal government shutdown. That's nothing on us.
Well, I mean, it's a similar situation. Yes, that.
Yeah.
And also, the reason we are hitting such a tight timeline of closing is also because of Helene delays with us being reassigned and not, well, you were not so here during that point, but and so there is a bit of both with that because of the state side, and yeah, that's why we're tightening in on those deadlines. But all of those have gotten extensions approved, so we're not concerned about losing funding. It's just a matter of sometimes as projects go on and they take a long time, appraisals have to be updated.
And are you planning on asking for that funding from the general funds rather than the bond funds?
Yes, yeah, definitely. We have a project, a previous canceled project that we would be requesting funding from funding that was already allocated somewhere else. So it won't be new funding. It would be old, kind of leftover funding for all of these. That's my plan, and it would be on a consent agenda item, and we'd explain it was coming from not bond funds. Hopefully that makes it slightly easier. As Martha mentioned, Tone Holler easement closed in September. That was a fantastic, exciting thing. It's always exciting to close an easement. So yeah, that's a nice 3-part donation easement. And then I'll kind of skip down. Got some complicated projects coming up, but the Sluter Farm, we are closing tomorrow. So we have the Sluter Farm easement happening tomorrow. So that is very exciting. That is a project that's been going on for a while due to reapplying for additional funding, being denied a couple times by the federal application, and so just a patient landowner. Just a
And that's not your way, Joel.
Yes, it
It's a
is.
Beaver Dam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I know.
Do you know Randall Sluter? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know him.
The white old house that's on the right, like it's kind of across, but yeah.
Did we end up with state and federal funding?
No, we have two different batches of state funding on this, so we were able to compensate him, at 50%, which is fantastic. So yeah, that's another kind of woohoo, exciting piece. All right, and then we have our two different Rogers projects and the Scott Fisher project. So Scott Fisher, I spoke with Jimmy. I've been checking in with him. He hasn't been able to touch base with Scott Fisher. He's dropped by a couple times. He's called him a couple times. I called him a couple times. We have not been able to get in touch with him at all.
Even when he dropped by, he did not see you.
No, he wasn't there,
Oh,
or he wasn't answering. Yeah.
okay.
So I even called him this morning and went straight to voicemail. Nothing. So we can keep trying.
What's our other option? At some point, we're gonna have to make a.
Right. The other. So my memory of our last discussion on this was we would try to get Jimmy to talk to him, and then we try to see if he was open to me joining, a visit with Jimmy to just see, like, are you happy with this decision? How, essentially what are the next steps? Last I spoke to him, he said he was like done with this project. We've reached a lot of title issues. So there will still be money spent to sort out that type of title issues. And so I think we discussed that we would try again to reach out to him, and then the board would decide that it was a canceled project due to title issues. So
Will we have to reach out to him personally, or just be able to say we did it on phone calls, email?
yeah, that's kind of the other question.
I think if we get into it, I think we'll have to have a letter from legal.
Yeah. I would think that final canceling of the project would be legal sending a letter saying, hey, we've tried to reach you, and due to last conversation and title issues, this project
And
is
this
canceled.
is
But
the one that we were discussing. Like, he can't afford to pay the fees of what was spent,
Okay.
right? That was part of that discussion again. And that's, I think, one reason we were gonna try to, because
Try
Jimmy
again.
knows him, he used to keep cattle in the place, and we were gonna try to just make sure that he has somebody with him, that he has some kind of representation.
he also isn't an elderly gentleman, and we're reaching a place where are we sure about his decision making ability, and so I do think that there will need to be a vote to decide one way or the other. It doesn't have to happen today. If you like, but there is a certain point where we do need to decide how much of my time and Jimmy's time do we put forward to try to keep resolving. I'm happy to try to call him a couple more times.
Maybe we need to make a decision next meeting, one way or the other.
That sounds good. Yeah, and we can work with county legal to prepare a letter and then have it sent. So anyways, there's your update on that piece.
How long is time frame on this one?
2.5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Or that's when we started it, right? It's that
Yeah.
long. And it was state funding.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funded.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, this is the strange thing, like, if he didn't have a clear title, that.
For one chunk of the property. And so we had to then exclude it to be able to continue with the easement. Yeah. So it's been a process for sure. Yeah. So onto the Rogers Farm. We have our two different checks, Rogers Farm Trust and David Rogers. Mentioned the appraisal update. Been working with the family as well as our attorney. The family's attorney brought up the concern, or well, not the family's attorney, the trust attorney representing the trust, brought up the concern that doing an easement on the trust would devalue the assets of the trust, which is fine, but there are beneficiaries of the trust that are not the three siblings. And so that attorney is requiring us to have